Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Nilambuja Shyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Mahash Sayagacharu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Relations to Lord Krishna, whose complexion, rather Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, who is very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, and he is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. It's just an a verse for invocation, and subtle meanings we have given to you before. We continue in Balakanda. Saint Tulsidas goes on giving his prologue to the Ramayana. He is still presenting his aspiration to bring out the glory of Rama in a poetic composition that can be a source of inspiration to all for all times. However, his project has contradictions. Firstly, when looking at himself, he finds himself so little. We're asking a frog to describe the immensity of space. Secondly, the power of grace that would allow even a frog to become an instrument. Even a little flute becomes an instrument in the hands of God. So on one side, the limitation of the body, mind, intellect. So limited how to describe God. Even thinking of God is not easy because mindset is too poor. Without going into further details, let me go on with the Ramayana. Guru Pitu Matu Mahesha Bhavani Pranavo Dina Bandhu Dinadani Sevaka Swami Sakhasiya Pike Hita Nirupadhi Sababidhi Tulasi Ke. This Balakanda from 14th verse on into the Chaupais of Ramayana. I offer adorations to Lord Shiva and Parvati. They are my Guru and they are my parents. Here to understand more profoundly, you will always hear about Rama, Shiva, and the relationship between the two is mutual. Rama adores Shiva. Shiva adores Rama. In storyline, it becomes a kind of interesting concept. Mystical line, Rama and Shiva are two aspects of the Absolute. Tulsidas Ji has chosen Rama as the Absolute and Shiva as Saguna Brahman. In another context, Shiva may be used as Absolute and Rama as Saguna Brahman. This should not create any confusion because we are not talking about ordinary human relations. As Shiva is Shiva Parvati. They are Sevak. They serve Rama, the devotee of Rama. As well as Shiva is Sakha Siyapike. Siyapi, beloved of Sita. That's Rama. Shiva is Rama's friend as well as Rama's Lord. And they are all doer of good to Tulsidas Ji, who is planning to write the glory of Rama. Just to remind you that turning your mind to God has different stages. Sagun Sakar, that's the most practical stage, the very foundation of that process. Sagun Sakar, just like going to a temple and you see the deity as Rama, as Krishna, as Vishnu, as Devi, and you have the whole picture. Form as well as attributes of God. Attributes are called Sagun. Form is called Akar. So God is with Sagun, lot of attributes, and He has a form. That's how the mind is led to evolve, ascend the spiritual ladder. The very first step, mind directed towards God, but not God that is abstract, but God in the form of Ganesha, Rama, Shiva, Jesus, Buddha, someone who can see, whose history has been also introduced to you in a mystical way. And while you see the divine form, your bhavana, your feeling, goes after the attributes of God. God the compassionate. God whose grace can heal all sufferings. God who is supreme beloved, and so forth. This next step is Sagun Nirakar. You don't go after the form of God. If your mind is not calculating, is He holding a bunch of arrows in His quiver? How many are they? What are the names of those arrows? Agniban, Brahmaban, Ramban. You can create a lot of details. And what type of dress? What type of color? What type of crown? All these details are very interesting to the aspirant. Even his toes are such a source of joy that a devotee, having focused the mind on the toes of Ram, doesn't want to go anywhere else. But in the second step, is not the physical form, how Rama has been depicted, but the attributes, how God touches your heart, inspires you, heals you of your sufferings, and He is the source of boundless love. In the process of thinking in that direction, Ramayana provides a whole plan of stories after stories. How did Vibhishana go to Rama? And Rama says to Vibhishana that whoever comes to me saying, I am yours, O Rama, I will give him fearlessness. Even if the whole world is angry with him, they can't hurt a person once Rama has accepted you. So, the purpose behind the story of Ramayana is to allow your meditative quality and intensity to develop in a profound way. So I gave you two stages, Sagun Sakar, Sagun Nirakar, then comes Nirgun Nirakar. When you come to recognizing God as Brahman, the Absolute, in that recognition there is no form, formless, nameless, attributeless. So even when you say Brahman, you are not exactly turning to Nirgun Nirakar. but we have no help, but we use something to depend on, some salamban. But with that understanding, that even if you are using the best of words, God is Satchit Ananda. And we check with others, do you know that? You don't know that? You are dull wit. Because you know it, are you really wise? What do you think of Sat? Those are words, palabras. And you have to always understand God is million times greater than the palabras. I will not go to details in too much. So therefore, when relationships are adopted among gods, they are always allegorical. So in one setting, Rama will be shown like worshipping Shiva. In another setting, Shiva is worshipping Rama. In one context, Rama will say, O Shiva, the Lord, the Master, I have taken refuge in you. In another setting, you will read Shiva saying to Rama that I have taken refuge in you. Kali bilo ki jaga hitahar girija, sabar mantra jal jinha sirija, anamil आखर अज अथ अरथ न जापू प्रगट प्रभाव महेश प्रतापू. Shiva and Parvati, according to Sri Ramayana, you continue to study, you see how Shiva and Parvati, they play a great role in bringing out the story of Rama. Shiva, out of profound love for his divine spouse, Parvati, relates the entire story of Rama. But this is not to be taken as history, taken as allegorical. Seeing the turmoil that abounds in Kali Yuga, you always hear about the mention of yugas. There are 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. For majority of people, the concept of yuga is in relation to time. A long period of time go to constitute Satya Yuga. Another long period of time constitutes Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And in each yugas, the culture, the tradition, the spiritual understanding, they all differ. The greatest ethical and spiritual value abides in Satya Yuga, a little less in Treta Yuga, a little less in Dwapar Yuga, a little less in Kali Yuga. But this is not the intention of the scriptures. The intention of the scriptures is to enable you to understand that you are involved with yugas. Yugas are modes of consciousness based upon gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So, just to dramatize it, early in the morning you wake up peaceful, serene. You are in Satya Yuga. By the time you start the rising sun and tweets of the birds, you come to Treta Yuga. Now, start scratching your head. How are you going to face the day? And what are your duties that you have to perform? And you are planning. You have come to Dwapar Yuga. And you understand you are coming into a world of Duryodhana and Kauravas and Shakuni. It's a lot of turmoil. And by the evening time, You become exhausted, feeling miserable. Not always, but I'm just giving a spiritual analogy. And then you find the whole world. What has happened? The world has become so rotten. The TV goes on breaking with news. There is not a single hour that you can devote to a TV that doesn't push into your mind a lot of terrible things. Where is the world going? And your mind goes after enemies and bitter experiences and thoughts of frustration and despair. You have gone to Kali Yuga. All the yugas are operating in you at all times. So, as you spiritually advance, if you remove your gross impurities, malas, as you allow anger, hate, greed to diminish, you are going beyond Kali Yuga. As you begin to develop a vivek, a kind of discriminative insight into what is good and what is not good, and try to keep the evil out of you, but with your effort, not with an advanced way. And every now and then you fall in the plan, conspiracy of Dushta Chatushtaya, the four devilish ones. That means the lower self. Then you are in Dwapar Yuga. You come to another level where your understanding of good and evil is not so mixed up. So the moment you see evil, you always count the heads. It doesn't have normal head. It will have 10 heads. It will have 2 heads. It will have a head with horns. Because in Treta Yuga, demons were demons. In Dwapar Yuga, where Krishna dwelt at that time, biggest of demons looked like excellent personalities. The meaning behind it, there is one stage where it is hard for you to discriminate between good and evil. And that's Dwapar Yuga. There is another stage when evil glares at you and you know what it is. And there are simpler solutions, taking refuge in Rama, and so forth. And then comes the state of Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga, where you don't have to. They have in Satya Yuga, their own demons. But there is a greater clarity between good and evil is easily surmounted by God. So Satya Yuga gives you a triumph of truth over falsehood. So all these yugas have blended in your personality. And you don't have to make an evaluation. Am I in Kali Yuga? Am I in Dwapar Yuga? Am I in Yugas are also described in the terms of lokas. When tamas enters into your personality, you are in Patala Loka. You are Netherland, not the present Netherlands. When Rajas enters, you are on the earth plane, Bhur Loka. Rather, according to following the scriptural way, they described in 3 stages. Bhur Loka, the world of mind and senses. That's the lowest level. You can go further down, that's always open road to it. The second loka, feelings and sentiments. The third loka, your understanding and clarity of illumination, clarity of vision. All these three blend in your personality. 3 lokas, 3 yugas. When you're localized with lokas, you are a loco. And don't be a loco. When localized in space, you are extremely limited. Now, with this introduction, the Chaupai says, seeing that Kali Yuga is coming, implying that if in your nature malas, gross impurities are rising, to deal with those impurities, Lord Shiva revealed special mantras. Those mantras are called Sabar mantra. And those Sabar mantras, they don't mean anything. They have no literal elegance about it. And yet those mantras are most powerful. To make you understand now, Tulsidas is directing your attention to the formation of mantras. For a very simple illustration, just like water everybody knows. But become a student of chemistry and you hear a new name for the water, H2O. You are entering into Sabar mantra. Hydrogen and oxygen. Similarly, so many words you go on saying, but the words that you say are made up of some special root letters that resonate with your chakras, Kundalini chakras. The lowest down Kundalini is earth element. Its sound is lam, lam. A little above is a water element. Its sound is wam, wam. Little above, Manipur chakra. That's solar plexus at the navel center. Its sound is R, ram, rang. At the heart center, yam, yam. Throat center, hum, hum. At the Agya chakra, om. So therefore, mantras abound with Om Shreem, Reem, Kleem, Aim, Kamalvasanyai Swaha. Om Shreem, Shreem, Kleem, Chamundayai Viche. These mantras don't seem to have any special meaning, but they have been designed with a deep insight into how does your mind act on the basis of vibrations of chakras. Certain sounds create a certain change in your psychological personality. When you are very happy, the international sound is ha. That doesn't change in all languages. But many other ideas and thoughts, in different languages you use different types of literature. But if you analyze the literature, you will realize they are highlighting certain special root letter. For example, when you have to do something dynamic, rise, run. The R sound is an awakening sound. But when you try to express something melodious, more of M sound, mama, mother. Likewise, different sounds, they are associated with a very complex plan of your mental psychology. Certain sounds can make you joyous, certain sounds depressed. But sometimes those sounds do not immediately act on you. Those mantras, having been repeated, they send out their vibrations and recorded in your unconscious as samskaras. So, the mantra you have repeated today becomes effective a week later. So it has not gone in vain. So these are all like medicines. Medicines of high potency, they are bijaksharas. Medicines more diluted, they are jap mantras, Rama, Krishna. And medicines that have become much more mixed up with sugar pills, sugar coating. There are different types of stotras, prayers. So umesh mohi para anukula, karihai kathamuda mangala mula, sumiris siva siva pai pasau, paranau ramacharita chitta chau. May that Shiva, the Lord of Uma, render this composition of mine so that it becomes a source of joy. Therefore, having adored Parvati and Shiva, and having received their blessings, I am going to compose Ramacharitmanas. Even while he is saying that, this is already an important part of Ramayana. So you don't have to wait until all this is finished. But this is itself a part of Ramayana. Bhaniti mori siva kripa vibhati, sasi samaja mili manahu surati, ye ehi kathahi sanet saneha sameta, kahi hai suni hai samujhi sacheta, hoi hai brahmacharana anuragi, kalimal rahit sumangala bhagi. By the grace of Lord Shiva, my poetry will shine like the moon in the midst of stars. All those who will study this Ramayana with love and with savadhani, with attention, and try to understand this subtle meaning behind the Ramayana stories, they will become free of the sins of Kali Yuga. Sins of Kali Yuga relate to the malas. Malas are gross impurities. Kama, perverted desire. Krodha, anger. Lobha, greed. Moha, delusion. Mada, pride or conceit. Matsarya, jealousy. These are 6 malas. If you find 7th, don't be surprised. I'm joking, but the idea is these 6 are only the basic. Out of these 6, hundreds of branches arise. And if these 6 can be treated, then your mind is called nirmal. Let me turn to Kabira's saying. Kabira man nirmal bhayo, जैसे गंगा नीर, पाछे लागे हरि फिरै, कहत Kabir, Kabir. Saint Kabir Das gives a very profound way of giving insight into Mala and what happens when Mala has been overcome. Kabir Das ji says, Man nirmal bhayo, my mind has become free of Mala. How pure? Jaise Ganga Neer. Just like the water of the Ganges river. You don't go after now the chemistry of what Ganges river contains. But there's meaning behind it. Just like Ganges river is symbolic of being pure plus purifying others. If your mind has become pure and you are unable to render a benign influence on the minds of others, your purity is lacking. If you blossom as a wonderful flower and even the worst type of bees don't want to put their nose in it, it means you have no fragrance. And that's not real success. Jaise Ganga Neer, so mind's purity has been described in a mystic way. So Kabira says, Kabira man nirmal bhayo, jaise Ganga Neer, just like Ganges water. Now, as a result, Pache lage hari fire. All the time in a spiritual pursuit, you are after God, behind Him. And God is constantly escaping you. The slight glance, He sees you coming, changes His mode, moves to another direction. Pache lage hari fire. And you have been pursuing God from life to life. But when man nirmal bhayo, when mind became purified, it is God who is running after you. O devotee, you have left your shoes. Pick them up. The whole divine plan goes after enriching the life of a devotee. So you don't have to look for him. You know that the very breath you breathe is because of him. Your heart functions because of him. Your body retains its prana, life, because of him. Your mind, intellect, ego all function because of him. So he is always, you don't have to look for him. You simply lie down in his arms. Be a baby, relaxing in the 1,000 arms of God. So see the two different situations. One, you couldn't find God anywhere. Another, you find no place where He is not. सपने हूँ सांचे हूँ मोहि पर जौ हर गोरी पसाऊ तो फुर हो जो कहें सब भाषा बन भनिति प्रभाव. If Shiva and Parvati are pleased with me, even if they are little pleased in my dream, then all this that I have stated about the glory of the book I am going to compose, may all this become true. Again, the idea behind it. Any composition of great writers, and writers, if they are really great, they will be sages, seers. Otherwise, they are just writing unnecessary palabras. So anyone who writes significant literature, poetry, or any expression that is artistic, the source of that quality is love of God. If you bring in the love of God as the source of inspiration for your writings, what you will find, people will not go after the literary analysis of your writing. The love with which you have started touches the heart. Think of the same Just like gave a quoted, Kavira man nirmal bhayo, jaise Ganga neer. It is not a very literary statement. Paache lage hari firay, kahat Kabir Kabir. But what it conveys is so dynamic that for centuries people remember those quotations. Same way with all the Sermon on the Mount. They are very simple, but they proceed from a heart that is in tune with God's love. So even though from ordinary point of view they lack elegance of literature and scholarship, but from profound point of view it excels all scholarship. Bandam avadhapuri ati pavani, sarju sari kalusha nasavani, pranavam purab naranari bahori, mamata jina para prabhuhina tori. I offer adorations to the city of Ayodhya and the Saryu river by which Ayodhya is situated. That Saryu river is the destroyer of the sins of Kali Yuga. I offer adorations to the river and the banks of the river, the city known as Ayodhya. And all those people of Ayodhya with whom Rama, or under whose care Rama grew up in Ayodhya. And Rama's love for them was boundless. This is giving you a introduction to the story of Rama. Rama was born in Ayodhya Puri by the banks of Yamuna river. But this is a storyline that becomes history, and history is not the real purpose of scripture. Saryu river is like Ganges river, an offshoot of Ganges river, and it's a purifier. In other words, an Ayodhya Puri is your own heart. And all the sentiments that abide in Ayodhya Puri, they are men and women of Ayodhya. In that setting, Rama arises out of three queens, Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That subtle point you have to, if it is very difficult, you ignore it. Follow as a story. But even as a story, later you will go on understanding. The story is not just story of physical personalities, but the story is of mystic factors that go to evolve your spiritual movement. So there is a Dasharatha type of consciousness in you. The soul in the early stage, when it is not fully developed, is like Dasharatha potentiality. Three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. But even those at this stage, soul must be endowed with immense good karmas. So Dasharatha has been presented as a person who always helped gods against demons and was a tremendous, powerful king. So that state of soul that has been deeply involved in creating good karmas now has come to another level of producing four great personalities: Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna, through the three queens. And that point we will develop later. But at this stage, simply to understand soul in four aspects. Rama is jnana, knowledge. Lakshmana is bhakti, devotion. Bharata is will. All this is not to be taken extremely literally because each one mixes with the other. Because Bharata is also devotee of advanced type. And Shatrughna, karma. Karma, bhakti, dhyana, jnana. Just too easy to understand. Karma, Shatrughna. Bhakti, considered in this context, Bharata. Dhyana, Lakshmana. Rama is jnana. So karma, bhakti, dhyana and jnana have emerged out of your own heart. And the soul that was like King Dasharatha evolves into that stage of Dasharatha where Rama and Lakshmana move away from him and he departs. But I will not go that stage yet. In other words, the same role of the soul. Dasharatha is a role of the soul in a very early stage. Grown-up stage, that role is taken up by Ram. So, all these associations have been brought into a city, Ayodhya, and in a river that flows by it. That also is intentional. Just like the glory of Krishna's crown is brought into a little peacock. The idea is you must develop a sensitive mind to perceive the glory of God, not just in some things that are majestic, but things that are even minute. The all-permeating presence of God. And therefore sages created associations. So if you go to a certain place, the place has this story. Here did Rama come. Here did his friend sit near him. And then there are priests who have fashioned even the shoes or sandals showing certain mark of Rama's foot. From one side it is ridiculous. From another side it is very profound. That profound aspect, that's what you are being taught. And with this I'm going to conclude. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramaya Namah.